opposite, my agent called and said, David Bowie is interested in meeting with you. There's projects. Would you fly out to London? And what's a girl going to do? Of course. And you know what he sent me to see?
What?
In the West End? Rocky Horror. He said, there's this new play that's opened up. You've got to see it. You've got to see Tim Curry. You've got to see this show, which of course was groundbreaking. There was nothing like that before Rocky Horror. So that's what I mean about David always looking into the future and sending me to see something that he wanted me to see and inspire me. So, yeah. So then I came back to LA, and then I got a call that he was in New York and he wanted to talk to me about doing an opening number. And I just knew if that opening number worked out, or that first meeting even in New York worked out, that I would be doing the whole show. And he actually was so gracious enough. He is the first person that I think was opening night, handed me this little piece of paper that the audience was getting, and it said Diamond Dogs, co-directed by David Bowie and Toni Basil. He gave me as a gift the co-direction credit, because that was not in our contract. The contract was just that I would have choreography credit.
Wow.
So how generous was he? How generous.
Yeah. I mean, was that like, you must have been blown away when that happened?
Absolutely blown away. I mean, it was just an incredible gift.
Now, if you saw Rocky Horror and you didn't like it, what would have happened?
Well, there was no chance I wouldn't have liked it. I mean, for one thing, you fall in love with Tim Curry. I mean, oh my God, I'm going to marry Tim Curry, or, it's like, and, I eventually did meet Tim, and he and I became very good friends, but everyone in that show was brilliant. Oh my God. I don't think he ever, I think David also turned me on to another choreographer, John Locke, who, I'll think of the name of the group of the dancers. Oh my God, they're so brilliant. He is so brilliant. Anyway, David Bowie, like Bette Midler, like a David Byrne, like a David Lee Roth. Boy, I worked with a lot of Davids. They always did homework. They were always searching out for ideas. What was happening in the underground? Always. All of them have that in common, and an amazing, amazing work ethic. I mean, obsessive work ethic.
Well, now you're behind the velvet rope with this David, so it's another David in your life.
There you go.
What is that? What's something about Bowie that would shock us? He had a great work ethic.
Well, don't you think it would shock you that David Bowie, out of nowhere, gave me as a gift the co-direction credit? I mean, I think that's pretty shocking. I think that was an unusual gift, something that maybe your audience wouldn't think he would be so generous.
Is that one of your, because listen, you've done it all. Like, you look back at a lot of different career highlights. Was that one of them, of like, wow?
Absolutely. Working with David Bowie was absolutely one of my career, not just a career highlight, but what a learning experience. What an extraordinary experience to collaborate with someone like that. Let me tell you, I did a lot of homework. I was up till 4 a.m. I would know what songs we were going to work on the next day, and I would study them. I would come in with 3 or 4 ideas, so I could pull rabbits out of the hat if he didn't like this idea or that idea. I remember once knowing I was going to work on a song called Big Brother, which had a crazy, crazy time signature, and I couldn't count it. I'm like up sitting in the bed, trying to count this time signature. So I got in early that morning, and I asked Michael Kamen, who happened to be his piano player and his orchestra leader, who was the great Michael Kamen. And I said, why can't I count this? He said, oh my God, it's a crazy, crazy time signature. I don't remember. He said it's 11:12. I don't know. It was something crazy. Anyway, he counted it out for me. But this is the kind of this is the kind of thing we worked on. Sometimes I would come in with complete choreography and ideas and concepts and even images like big shadows and silhouettes, which he used for the very opening number. But sometimes we would just improvise, and songs and ideas would come out of that. A phenomenal story where the Diamond Dogs number, where he wraps up where the Diamond Dogs actually their leashes wrap him up and he falls to his knees. Well, the next song was going to be Panic in Detroit, and we didn't know what we were going to do with it. And so we were listening to the music, and actually we had the ropes, and all of a sudden, you know that like cartoon, you see a light bulb go over somebody's head in a cartoon. David went, and he took out the ropes. He grabbed chairs, started winding the ropes around these chairs. He had been sparring with his partner with boxing gloves. He grabbed the boxing gloves. He said, "Put on Panic in Detroit." And he sang Panic in Detroit. He had made this boxing ring. He sang it in that 3 minutes. And I just started yelling as we got to the end, "Knock yourself out, knock yourself out." So at the end of the number, he knocks himself out and he falls to the ground. We did that number in 3 minutes.
Wow.
That's what's like working with Bowie. If you're collaborating and you're staying on top of it, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
What about working with just the unbelievable Tina Turner?
The goddess. The goddess. You know, I got a call from her, from a friend, not from her, in the late 70s. When did she break up with Ike? 70. She left Ike. Anyway, I got a call. Tina's left Ike. She wants you to be her choreographer when she comes out of hiding. That's the word, when she comes out. Okay, so I choreographed her first club show where we did Disco Inferno. That's that Disco Inferno, because Disco Inferno was in her first show. And I choreographed her last tour that we did in 2010. So I just did a webinar. One of my webinars that I did, a 5-part webinar, was a salute to Tina Turner, and I had one of the original Ikettes on it called, her name is LeJune, and Tina asked to see the webinar, so I sent the webinar to Tina. So I've had a little bit of contact with her, but let me tell you, Tina, all she does from the very first show that I did with her to the last show that I did with her, the dancing stayed as strong, the singing got better, and the dramatic songs grew because, you know, she had become an actress and starred in films in between that time. So she grew. And yet she was always in the girls' dressing room, fixing their wigs, fixing, tying, you know what I mean? She was hands-on. And yet she was a goddess. She was always a goddess. And she always had those legs. The dresses were always so short, you can't believe it. And she could always dance. And man, she and Beyonce are the only two people I know who dance in those heels to this day. I don't dance in those heels.
Did she change? Like, did she remain humble like throughout all of that?
Tina was Tina. Tina was always Tina. All those people, from Tina to David to Bette, because I worked with them all early and all late. And they were all always the same. Nobody ever had an attitude. You know, I mean, their focus was on their art and their shows, not on their stardom, really. You know, actually, I think we all enjoyed rehearsing and creating and putting it together as much as the final product, because it really is the journey. It's truly the journey.
So Tina's not like a diva boss.
No. No.
What about, like you said,
And
you had,
all of us are like, you know, on our bended knees to her. She doesn't have to be a boss. Everything is done. What's Tina gonna, what are we gonna do? Oh, we have everything laid out for her. But even if it's, sometimes she said to me, well, when she said, I said, are you sure you want to do this number? She said, yeah, and I want you to, she said, I'll sing it and you dance it, improvise. Okay, and this is in rehearsal. And we filmed it, and that was the choreography.
wow.
So had to be on your toes, had to be on your toes with all of them, ready to improvise, pull rabbits out of the hat.